Thank you, everybody. My name is Darius Mirshahi. I am an organizer for SEIU Local 2 and the Justice for Janitors movement. I want to thank all of the people who have come out in solidarity from many community organizations today, and we're going to hear from a lot of them. And we have some important announcements to make that are, new developments in this story since Friday.
On Friday, workers had stood up and stood right here in this spot and announced that they were filing a complaint at the Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission. At that time, the workers were scared, but they knew what had happened to them was wrong, was definitely wrong and shameful. Shame. Armour Group and deep down had an opportunity to keep the workers here and keep them employed. Instead, they're blaming GDI and saying that GDI let them go and they had no responsibility. Or that's at least what's being put out there. But that's not true. Deep down, an Armour Group had the opportunity to retain these employees, but they didn't. And on top of that, they let all of the African descent workers go and only kept one male white supervisor. Non-supervisor, sorry, non-supervisor. Shame on them. So here on these steps, they announced that they were filing the Human Rights Commission complaint. Mere hours after they filed that complaint, they were called and told that they were terminated. That day, that they were terminated and not to come back to work that evening. So they were officially let go and terminated a week before March 29th. That is shameful. So again, it was a direct retaliation for them standing up for themselves and speaking out. That is wrong. And that's why you look around here today and you see the solidarity for the workers and knowing that what's happened here is absolutely wrong and shameful and deplorable. So we are here and we're going to stay here. We're going to see our faces here every single day and fight for the workers that are here at Fougere Square. So again, solidarity. Thank you to everyone who came out here today. Justice for janitors.
Justice for janitors!
Justice for janitors!
Justice for janitors! Justice for janitors! Justice for janitors! Justice for janitors! Justice for janitors! Justice for janitors!
Justice for janitors!
All right, so an important announcement that the union is also making today is that what Armour Group did by immediately canceling the contract, effectively terminating the employment of these workers in this building, mere hours after they announced that they had an intention to file a human rights complaint, is in and of itself a violation of the Human Rights Code. It runs contrary to Section 11 of that code that states that no one shall be punished or retaliated against for expressing their interest in pursuing their rights as per the code. And so the union, with these 7 workers, will be filing a second. The union, with these 7 workers, will be filing a second complaint, a legal complaint, at the Human Rights Commission over this further issue that has been developed since Friday. So we are here to announce a second human rights complaint at the Human Rights Commission of Nova Scotia, which we are pursuing effective immediately, and we are going to be in solidarity with these workers in a lot of other ways as well. But that is one of the big announcements that we have to make, that we're here to make, is that what they did is very blatantly a violation of the Human Rights Code, and we're not going to stand for that.
That's right.
We're not going to stand for that. Are we going to stand for that? Are we going to stand for that? Black workers matter. Black workers matter.
Black workers matter.
Human rights for everyone.
Human rights for everyone.
Human rights for everyone.
Human rights for everyone.
All right, next up, I want to invite Lynn Jones to come speak. Lynn Jones was here on Friday, as many of you know, speaking about this issue. Is a long-time community activist and labor leader and just amazing individual in this city, and is here to speak about a new community coalition that has been formed in response to what has transpired. So make some noise for Lynn Jones, everybody.
Sisters and brothers and everybody that's gathered here today, we can't thank you enough for coming out in support of these workers. As Darius stated, I'm Lynn Jones, a longtime community activist, and he forgot to mention longtime trade union activist. Thank God for the trade union movement here today that's offered these workers so much support. I'd like to acknowledge the many people that have arrived here today from the African Nova Scotia community, because an injury to one is an injury to all. Big cheers for all the people from the community that have come out today. You need to know that Armour Group on Friday, I made an announcement that you're to keep your hands off our people. And it still stands today. And for them to retaliate in the way that they have is not acceptable to our community and the larger community. And we're here to fight with everybody else. We have been meeting around the clock. And one of the things that came out of it is that people have said we want to form a coalition to attack all these injustices that are occurring. And so as a result, a community coalition has been established that will stay in effect as long as these organizations, these employers, continue to attack our workers, particularly here at Fougere Square. The broad-based community coalition, it has membership from the faith community, from the trade union movement, from the arts community, and throughout the city, and even people have heard about this struggle from afar. It is not new. I don't know if you heard this morning the big announcement that Nova Scotia has the hardest time in all of the country to retain members from our immigrant community. It's no wonder. If you know, and I know, that Nova Scotia has a bad reputation for how it's treating black workers and black people in general. We just heard the UN report that named Nova Scotia as being very, very detrimental to the history of African Nova Scotians and recent African immigrants who have come from afar. We will no longer tolerate this. Any organizations that wish to join our coalition, you're welcome. The list is growing already. And with that coalition, we intend to keep up the struggle. Black workers matter. Thank you.
Black workers matter! 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 Okay, up next, we actually have a tenant of Fougere Square that's going to speak about, you know, that the fact that they've been working here for a while now. They interacted with cleaners and I'll let them speak for themselves. So we have Fiona here. Make some noise.
Thank you very much. I'm unprepared for a speech, but I came out of my lunch break and I find there's a demonstration in front of my building, and I inquire about it. I wasn't in on Friday, and I'm quite disgusted to hear that workers in the building in which I work as a worker have been fired so suddenly for standing up for their rights, for their workers' rights. And we have such a bad climate of disrespect against workers in this province right now, and to find it sort of trickling, you know, spreading out into all these various areas where people work, and also we have such a climate of disrespect towards our black community, and to find that happening in my own building, this is shocking, to say the least. People in our Armour on my floor have had a good rapport with the working community, with the janitorial staff in this community, and I find that I'm a little at a loss what to say. It's terrible to find that they're fired, and I think Armour Group has some accounting to do, needs to come out and speak to people, and I think people ought to write to Armour Group and let them know what they think.
All right, so up next, we have Wanda Lewis from the faith community that is going to be speaking to this issue as well. Make some noise for Wanda Lewis, everybody.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. It means a lot to see all different nationalities here, white and black, working together in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Like Lynn Jones has already said, we're having a hard time here in Nova Scotia. We've been here for generations as African Nova Scotians, and it's time for Halifax, Nova Scotia to do the right thing. Come on. Come on, Halifax. Don't shame on us. Firing all of those workers. You know, this is not the first time. This is happening in Halifax all the time. Your next door neighbor, your friend down the street, if they're African Nova Scotian or of another nationality, Aboriginal, whatever, these things are happening every day. Halifax, you need to stop. I'm representing our church, Cornwallis Street Baptist Church. Reverend Wanda Britton is our pastor, and I thank God for our membership that we heard it yesterday in church by Lynn and Reverend, and we're here because of that. So people say, why do you go to church? That's why I go to church. Human rights, to do the right thing. That's what you learn in church, to love one another. That when it really matters, when you need each other, you're here. It's not about just being in church, but it's being about doing something. So I thank you for coming on. I see white and black here. And that's what Halifax, Nova Scotia is all about. Don't shame us. We don't need to be shamed. We need to do the right thing. We belong here like everybody else. We have rights. Respect us. Respect us. We're getting tired. Respect us. That's all we're asking for in Halifax is respect. Thank you.
Black workers matter! Black workers matter! Black workers matter! Black workers matter! So we have Suzanne here from the Halifax and Dartmouth District Labour Council, who is going to be speaking as well about this issue. So make some noise first for Suzanne. Thank you.
Thank you. I bring greetings of deepest and heartfelt solidarity to the 7 workers who are treated with injustice at this site. The 25,000 union workers of the Halifax, Dartmouth and District Labour Council represent many different unions and workers who work in every sector of the economy. Everything that our members do, whether they work at a desk, whether they are cleaners, whether they're technicians, all of this work requires skill. All of it matters. Without that work, nothing goes on in this city. And that is no less true of the cleaners here at this building who were treated with discrimination by Armour Group and by Deep Down Cleaning. And so we reject and condemn the racism with which they were treated. And we affirm that an injury to one is an injury to all. Let me hear that. An injury to one
is an injury to all. An injury to one is an injury to all.
An injury to one
Is an injury to all.
Doesn't matter what kind of work you do, doesn't matter where you're from, we reject all discrimination on this basis, and we pledge to work alongside the allies that have come together in this community coalition and reaffirm our strength as a movement of workers. Thank you.
Next up, we have L. Jones, who's gonna say a few words. For those who haven't read L. Jones's recent Examiner article, I highly recommend it, putting a lot of this situation into context, especially Armour Group's response. So make some noise for L. Jones, everybody!
Thank you, everybody. We were here on Friday morning, and all the workers were with us. Today, we don't see many of those workers, and the reason why is because when they had the courage to come out here and stand up over the weekend, on that very day, they lost their jobs. Now, many of these workers come from countries where they face incredible oppression. Some of them have fled from authoritarian governments. They fled from people who are causing them harm, and they came here where they believed that they would find freedom and opportunity, and they'll be able to work their way up to to be successful and be a member of our society. And when they stood up and spoke and had the courage to come here, despite all the fear they had and everything they'd learned about what happens when you stand up for yourself, what happened in this city, in Canada? They fired them. And then they fired them, and they took to the news and said that they were lazy and they didn't clean the building. They had all these complaints, all information that had never been given them and only was said to the news after they retaliated on these workers. Well, I think that's a shame. I think that if we stand for what we say we do in this city, where we say we want immigrants, in this country where we say we're a land of opportunity and we're a place where people come and they find a better life, we don't fire people when they stand up for the human rights we're supposed to believe in. We don't show them that don't bother putting your head up, don't bother speaking up, it's just like the places you fled from, so don't speak out. We don't threaten vulnerable people in this country. We don't stop them from working so they can feed their families or their ill family members. We don't do that. That is wrong. So if we stand against that, we stand for these workers. That many of them cannot speak for themselves because they are scared. I think that's a shame. So I'm here to say on behalf of them that we need to keep speaking out, and we need to show them that they have their rights and they have the right to continue fighting and they have the right to their jobs. So justice for them, justice for us all, justice for janitors!
Justice for janitors! Justice for janitors!
Justice for janitors!
Justice for janitors!
Justice for janitors!
Justice for janitors!
Justice for janitors!
Justice for janitors!
Justice for janitors!
Black workers matter!
Black workers matter!
Immigrant workers matter!
Immigrant workers matter!
Black workers matter!
Black workers matter!
Immigrant workers matter!
Immigrant workers matter!
Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for that. Thank you, L. Jones, for that amazing speech. It's putting it into context exactly how it needs to be put. Next up, I'm going to have someone from the Industrial Workers of the World. They prepared a statement as well, and they're standing here in solidarity. So, without further ado,
deliver a brief statement. The Worker and Tenant Solidarity Network Subcommittee of the Industrial Workers of the World stands firmly with the cleaners who have been fired and barred from the premises at Fougere Square, a property owned by Armour Group. We believe the workers were fired because they were black, because they were unionized, and because they attempted to exercise their fundamental rights in resisting discrimination. When employers attack vulnerable members of the working class, they attack the working class as a whole. Armour Group describes itself as endeavoring to create, quote, a lasting impact in this region, and we must now ask what that impact is. Do they wish for a region where black workers are excluded from employment, where unions are busted, where retaliatory firings are an acceptable response to human rights complaint? The IWW unequivocally rejects such a future. We stand by our over a century-old slogan that an injury to one is an injury to all. This means black workers matter.
Black workers matter!
We will not sit idly by while the capitalist class perpetrates racist attacks against workers' livelihoods. We demand that the fired cleaners be rehired at Fougere Square, and we will fight alongside them until victory.
Cavanagh of the Nova Scotia Federation of Labour here to speak. So make some noise for Danny.
Thanks everybody, and it's really a sad case of affairs when we have to be here today to stand up for immigrant workers, for black workers who haven't been given the proper justice that they deserve. And let me say, as a president of the Nova Scotia Federation of Labour, on behalf of the 90,000 members that we represent, we're going to be working with your union, and we're going to take whatever means that we need to fight back and push back and make sure labour laws of this challenge are updated to the year that we're in, and not have unjust laws that treat workers with such fairness, whether that's wage theft or contract flipping. We'll be meeting this afternoon with SEIU, and we're going to build a plan, and we're going to work together, and we're going to take on the challenges because in Nova Scotia, the labor movement and their coalition partners stand in solidarity with these workers. Solidarity, sisters and brothers.
Yes, yes, yes. I see NSGU, I see CUPW, I see a lot of solidarity here. Make some noise for all of the solidarity. Solidarity! 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 Black workers matter! Black workers matter! Justice for janitors! Justice for janitors! Come on, let's get a little bit louder. Let's make them hear us up on the 14th floor. Black workers matter! 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 Justice for janitors! Justice for janitors! Justice for janitors! Justice for janitors! Okay, up next we have Amina from the student union who's gonna come say some words in solidarity with these workers. Workers and students united! United! Workers and students united!
Workers and students united! Workers and students united! So on behalf of the over 19,000 students I represent at the Dalhousie Student Union and the Association and the African Diaspora Association of the Maritimes, we are here to stand in solidarity with the Black workers who have been released from their job a week early. These workers are family members, they are mothers, they are students, they are parents, and this is not okay. We are here to demand justice for janitors, and we're here to say that this will not happen on our clock, this will not happen on our watch. We are not letting this go, and we are here. The workers are not alone. So justice for janitors!
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 Black workers matter!
Black workers matter!
Black workers matter!
Black workers matter!
Thank you.
Yeah! I think we've run through our list of speakers for the press conference. I want to reiterate one more time that what Armour Group did by retaliating against these workers and terminating their employment in this building a week early because of their intention to file a human rights complaint at the Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission is in and of itself a violation of the Human Rights Code, and the union will be pursuing every avenue available to rectify that situation and to hold Armour Group to account. And we are in the process of filing a second human rights complaint on that basis. And I want to thank everybody who's standing here in solidarity and who is not letting Armour Group brush this under the rug, kick these workers out, and wipe their hands clean and walk away and have a good day. It's not going to be a good day at Founders Square this week. We're going to be here this week. We're going to be here this week. We're going to have press conferences all week this week. We have further announcements to make. And so we want to invite the broader community to come here and stand in solidarity with us here on these steps from noon to 1 every day this week, from 4 to 5 every day this week. And we want to encourage everybody out there to pick up the phone and call Armour Group and tell them that you want to see a resolution to this matter. You want to see justice for these workers. I want everybody out there to pick up the phone to Deep Down Cleaning Services as well and tell them we want you to rehire these workers. We want justice for these workers as well. You're not going to get away with just, not making a statement and just bringing your new workers in. We want a response, and we want justice. Exactly, we want justice for these workers. Thank you, everybody. Solidarity forever. Justice for janitors. Black workers matter.